Happy Monday, Book Club hosted by Heather Skinner. Our March 2022 feature has been the fantastic picture book author Helen Holder. These reviews were written by both myself and by my 6-year-old daughter, Gemma. Helen Holder told us that in reviews, she loves finding out about what were the reader's favorite parts of the read, favorite characters, and what awesome new words they learned while reading her books. This is not only a great guideline for readers who aren't sure where to start with writing a review, but it's also great for conversations to keep the reading fun going and also to practice reading comprehension skills when reading with children. I've posted all of these reviews on BookBub, Goodreads, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. The first review I would like to read to you of Helen Holder's books is I Painted a Magenta Flamingo. Our review is a 5-star review. I really enjoy reading this book to my daughter. She is 6 years old, and since our first reading of it about a year ago, she continues to ask me to read it to her again and again. The coloring sheet in the back is also such a fantastic way for kids to express their creativity and thoughts from the great message of the book after reading it. Next up, I would like to share our review of What Goes Up Must Come Down. This is the Foxpoint Publishing website, and just a reminder, Pointe, point, is how they spell that. So when you come to this page and you click on the professionals page, you can see all of the wonderful authors and professionals that publish through this publishing house. And a lot of these wonderful authors and creators we actually got to meet throughout Helen Holder's feature this month through a Facebook Live and also through a wonderful big takeover event with a bunch of these authors, which has been so much fun. And there's just so much great work from all of these authors. Please remember to check them out. Here on Helen Holder's page, we can click on one of the books. And What Goes Up Must Come Down, another 5-star review from Gemma and I. Thank you to Foxpoint Publishing for this advanced reader copy opportunity. I read What Goes Up Must Come Down by Helen Holder to my 6-year-old daughter, and we both laughed and enjoyed this read together. I loved watching her eyes light up every time she saw the next comical illustration delivery of why the items didn't fall one by one. She became very involved in the story instantly, and very animated in her reactions as she smiled, covered her mouth in surprise, and looked at me for my fun reactions as well. There is such a unique pattern to the read. It contains predictable wording moments that are accompanied by surprising and humorous outcomes, both of which are fun to a young reader, and this book is such a fun mix of those styles for my daughter and for me to enjoy reading and rereading to her as many times as she asks for it. So my daughter and I both highly recommend this book to readers of all ages because it is just as much fun to have read to you as it is to read to someone. This is also a perfect bedtime read to end the day on a happy note and spark a child's imagination. I'll read the rest of our reviews right from my Goodreads page. So next up, we'll go with Glorious Gertie's Fabulous Fireworks. After reading this book, my 6-year-old daughter Gemma said, "It was funny and fun. My favorite part was when the guy was soaking wet and talking fast and the cat wasn't liking it." Gemma and I both enjoyed the way the cat character's likes, dislikes, and personality was included in such a fun and unique way throughout the story. Gemma also said she enjoyed the moment she realized while reading that the name Uncle Sam in this book belonged to the cat and not to a person like she thought it would at first mention. On the page with the illustration of the man looking in happily through the window while his order was being filled with so many fireworks, my daughter took the time to point out how much she enjoyed how happy he looks in the picture before we turned the page, which was such a sweet moment. Caring and empathy through fiction for kids is such an important and heartwarming thing to see and come out of our experiences reading together. As with many of Helen Holder's picture books, I enjoyed the learning opportunities sprinkled throughout this read. Time in this book was tracked for activities in the day and felt like some great discussion and reinforcement opportunities that could be used for many age ranges of children about telling time. I also really appreciate that the book is a 4th of July story for kids. I haven't come across any for this holiday really, and this will be fun to read each year in celebration. Beyond the story itself, we also really enjoyed reading the end author and illustrator bio page that was uniquely filled with them telling us about their best 4th of July memories. I also wanted to include, this is a 5-star review, and all of our book reviews for Helen Holder's work were 5 stars. We just love them all so much. Next up, our review of Terrific Tongues. After reading Terrific Tongues, my 6-year-old daughter Gemma said, "Funny, and mommy and daddy can't use all their tongue muscles like in the picture on page 31, but I can." I love how engaging the illustrations in this book are for kids to make a connection with, while also enjoying learning so many interesting facts on every page. Gemma said, "Wow," aloud while I read this to her, and as facts intrigued her. My daughter's favorite parts are the quotes about tongues enjoying eating ice cream and the butterfly page. My favorite was the inclusion of an example of symbiotic animal relationships that happen in nature on the hippo page. The mosquito info gave us the creeps, but as all good reading does, it evoked our emotions, and we also got to enjoy learning. The dedication in the beginning says, "To curious first graders everywhere." My daughter is homeschooling at the 1st grade level, and this book is great for her age group. And it even gave me an opportunity to learn fascinating facts and terms right along with her as an adult. I appreciate that big and uncommon words like proboscis and umami have pronunciation in parentheses right along with the words in the read. I like the perspective in the beginning of the book that reminds us we are familiar with our own tongues, and then asks us if we have ever thought about tongues in the animal world. This is fun to read over and over again and watch my daughter pick up on and connect with information she didn't the time before. We recommend this book. Gemma wanted to make sure that Helen Holder got to see this. This is a picture of her using her tongue muscles on that page 31. She was so proud, so she asked us to take a picture while we were reading it with her. And she is absolutely right. I cannot make my tongue do that. And I think I actually did try that with Helen during our interview where we were talking about Terrific Tongues. So if you haven't seen me attempt and fail at trying to squish my tongue and tuck it, we got to break up our interview this month in 3 parts over 3 weeks. They are all posted now. So if you haven't gotten to watch all 3 parts of my interview with Helen Holder, please go check those out while you're here on the channel. Next up is our review of An Unusual Tale by Helen Holder. 5 stars. There were lots of laughs and giggles while reading this picture book to my 6-year-old daughter Gemma, and even from my husband listening to the story with us while we read. The word bid, in the sense of having someone do something, was a new word usage for my daughter, and the repetition of it in the story helped her learn it by context, which I thought was an awesome and fun vocabulary learning opportunity. When I asked Gemma what her favorite part is, she replied, "The end, because everybody gets what they want." I love the dragon in this book and love the illustration where he is wearing glasses and holding a hot cup of coffee. Our household can't wait for the sequel to this book to be published and will be keeping an eye out for its release. This has become a new favorite book in our home. Gemma told me that she wondered if there will be alligators in the moat in the sequel, which was a surprising reaction to me at first. And then I remembered the alligators in an illustration in another one of Helen Holder's books, David's Pretzels, that shows crocodiles in a creek on the front of a newspaper. I think this is a testament to how much my daughter has loved having all of Helen Holder's books read to her and how much of an impression each detail from them made on her. We recommend An Unusual Tale, and we also highly recommend all of the wonderful picture books written by this author. I'd love to take this opportunity to also share the illustrations with you that I mentioned in the review. Looking at this one now, I know in the review I wrote a hot cup of coffee because that's how it resonated with me, which is funny looking back at this picture now of my favorite illustration, because it might not be a hot cup of coffee. I don't remember if it's actually mentioned in the story what he's drinking, but it feels like a hot cup of coffee to me in my memory because of the steam coming out of the dragon's nose, holding that coffee cup, and there's just something I love about this illustration. And this is the illustration mentioned in the review about David's pretzels. So it's not alligators, but it's crocodiles in creek here in the Daily Herald headline. And the fact that this stuck in her head and connected into another story of Helen Holder's, I find very interesting. And it just really makes me think about the way each book you read with a child, how it sticks with them, and how things combine into what they know about the world from reading and what they expect to see in the world and what want to continue in the world. So I thought it was really cool that this image stuck with her and crossed over in her mind to this other book, An Unusual Tale. So let's move right on into the review that we have for David's Pretzels. I read this book to my 6-year-old daughter, Gemma, and we loved it right from the cover. The front and back is illustrated to look like a pretzel bag and has such fun details that make it up, including a nutrition facts label and a never expires expiration date. The first page had rhyme and a playfulness to the writing with crunch, 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 which are great read aloud features for me as a parent and as a former library storytime educator. This book takes traditional alphabet books to a whole new level and makes it fun for an unlimited age range. While reading it to my daughter, I even got to enjoy learning new words like antimacassar, which are defined in the glossary in the back of the book. My daughter thought that the birds illustrated throughout the book were crows and enjoyed finding out they were a bird she hadn't heard of before and got to find out about. Jabberoos. We highly recommend this book. Our last review to share with you today is Sleepover with Grandma. My 6-year-old daughter Gemma and I read all of Helen Holder's picture books in March of 2022 while she was the featured author in book club hosted by Heather Skinner. After reading Sleepover with Grandma, Gemma instantly said, "Yes, yes, and yes" to this book. Sleepover with Grandma is the best. Now I have great ideas. As a parent, it is such a fun experience how the repeating structure of the writing leads the read aloud pacing, and there is so much to discuss on each page within the illustrations. This is a fun family read that I highly recommend. On the Foxpoint Publishing Facebook group page, they have Fox Talk Facebook Live events. When you submit a question during the live for them to answer, you get entered into giveaway opportunities. I wanted to share book mail shout out of a Fox Talk question win that I received for Gemma from asking a question the month before their Fox Talk on our page. This is called The Monster Dog, Life's Lessons Learned, written by Carmen Trebet. So I wanted to give that book mail shout out. Gemma and I actually haven't read this yet, but we are super excited to, and when we've read it, we will share our review on our corresponding Facebook group page. Our other book mail shout out, I Do 15 Years of Wedding Misadventures, a memoir by Kirsten Hall. I'm super excited to read this book as well. And again, when I've read it, I will post my review to share with you. And I recommend checking out all of the Foxpoint Publishing authors on their website. They all have such amazing work that I really enjoyed getting to learn about this month. And it's been such a joy featuring Helen Holder and getting to speak with her and read all of her books. Your vote at the end of February determined the order of features for Helen Holder for this March, and then also our feature author for our April read. So I will post the reveal video for which author and book you voted in by the quote, "She'd been telling herself this whole time that she wasn't ready to love him yet. But what if she did already?" Gemma and I are very excited to do that reveal video and let you know who is up next for our feature and what awesome book we will be reading. After that, at the end of April, a brand new poll of book quotes by authors who have been waiting very patiently on our feature waiting list will go up for voting. I also wanted to take this opportunity to give a shout out to the wonderful takeover events that we got to host on our book club hosted by Heather Skinner Facebook group page this month. Normally, we only have one Facebook takeover event per month. So our normal takeover event was hosted by author Ivan Scott. He had a wonderful takeover. It was so much fun. I just wanted to recommend check out his books, Redhead in a Blue Convertible and The Redhead and the Ghostwriter. He's also working on a new book coming out soon, I believe. So keep your eye out and check out that author. He was fantastic. And then we also had a bonus takeover event, which featured a bunch of talent from Foxpoint Publishing. It was our first ever multi-author takeover event that went just about all day long. It was so exciting. We got to meet Regina Noel Downing, and she has really awesome children's books, including sheet music, which I think is just so hard to find and such a cool thing. Please check her out. The reading and music combination, I think, is just so perfect. And what she does is just amazing. Next up, we had author Kathleen Seekman joining us. Again, fantastic children's books. She has such unique books available that really focus on perspective on the world, and with great illustrations and animals, and I think they're just spectacular. Next up, we had Kirsten Hall. She first spoke about her picture books. She writes both picture books and adult books. She's got a ton of those. I especially loved hearing about her Blue Frog book. Katie Roger was live with us. She was speaking about Only the Brave, which looks like just a wonderful novel. Definitely check that out, with such amazing heart behind it. Remember to add all of these authors and books to your want to read list on Goodreads. Then we had Jason Willis join us. His books looked just so intriguing. He was showing us a little bit about the Alchemist's Map. He has some fantastic videos to check out on YouTube, where he goes a little bit more in depth of interesting facts behind his work, which was super intriguing and makes his work sound just phenomenal. I can't wait to check out all these authors. AJ Sullivan was with us as well. We got to hear a lot of cool things about her amazing books. And her life actually has just been an amazing journey. So definitely check out AJ Sullivan to learn more about her and her work. Next up was author Thea Kavami. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but hopefully I'm not. Your books look just amazing, and have such important themes and messages behind them. It really touched my heart to hear about your work and how important this is for children to be able to read and talk about difficult subjects, because it is important for them to deal with these things. And what you do and the books you make and the stories that you are brave enough to share and put out in the world, I find to be just spectacular. So I'm looking forward to reading all of the work of the amazing authors that joined us for this takeover event. Thank you to all of the amazing authors that joined us, not only for that takeover event, but also the other authors that joined us for the Fox Talk Live event on our Facebook group on the 22nd as well. And thank you to all the members who have been following along this month, checking out the posts and commenting and attending our events. Please remember to like and subscribe while you're here, and happy reading.